Above us lies a map, written in starlight, that has guided humanity through the ages. From the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of South America, the stars in the night sky connect us all to a universal story waiting to be decoded. In my last video, we explored Baalbek and its profound connection to the heavens. Today, we take a step further into the stars to uncover a pattern that spans civilizations and reveals humanity's shared cosmic legacy. During my research into ancient civilizations, I found a fascinating and recurring theme: an extraordinary connection to the stars. Across the globe, despite being separated by vast continents and thousands of years, ancient cultures built awe-inspiring megalithic structures that align with specific celestial bodies. The most common among them, Orion's belt. This shared celestial focus hints at a profound universal significance tied to the heavens, suggesting that Orion was more than just a collection of stars. It was a symbol, a cosmic marker, perhaps even a gateway to something greater, and raises profound questions about how our ancestors viewed the stars and their connection to the divine. What's truly astonishing is that modern science only recently revealed a cosmic wonder at the heart of this constellation: the Orion Nebula. Otherwise known as Messier 42, this breathtaking region of space is actually a stellar nursery. Can you believe it? It's literally the birthplace of stars. Located within Orion's sword, the Orion Nebula is a swirling expanse of gas and dust, actively forming new stars and planetary systems. It shines as one of the brightest nebulae visible to the naked eye, and is a hub of cosmic creation. Astronomers estimate it to be approximately 1,344 light-years away, making it one of the closest stellar nurseries to Earth, offering us a rare glimpse into the process that gives birth to stars, and potentially life itself. This discovery raises some intriguing questions. How did ancient civilizations acquire such a profound understanding of the cosmos? Did they develop this knowledge purely through observation? Did they intuitively perceive Orion's role as a cradle of creation? Maybe this wisdom was inherited from a far older, enigmatic source? Or perhaps ancient truths can be found encoded in myths of creation and cosmic origins, just waiting patiently to be uncovered. The link between Orion's celestial significance and its alignments here on Earth remains one of humanity's most fascinating enigmas, a puzzle that invites us to delve deeper into the depths of their mythology to uncover what it might reveal about the shared roots of our history. In Egypt, the connection to Orion is perhaps the most striking. If you examine an aerial map of the pyramids of Giza, you'll notice an uncanny resemblance to the alignment of Orion's belt. Many believe that the three pyramids, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, were intentionally designed to mirror the three stars of this iconic constellation. This idea, known as the Orion correlation theory, was introduced by author and researcher Robert Bauval in 1989, sparking intense debate ever since. Mainstream archaeology asserts that the pyramids of Giza were constructed during Egypt's 4th dynasty, around 2580 to 2560 BCE, during the reign of Khufu. These monumental structures are thought to have served as tombs for the pharaohs and were part of a larger complex that included temples, causeways, and smaller pyramids for queens and officials. But here's where things get intriguing. Despite the widespread belief that the pyramids were tombs, most people are unaware of a crucial fact. No bodies have ever been found inside the Great Pyramid or any of its counterparts. In fact, no human remains have ever been discovered inside any pyramid structure in Egypt. Instead, most royal burials have been found in the Valley of the Kings, located far to the south. This raises a compelling question. If the pyramids were truly built as tombs, why have no bodies ever been found? And why does mainstream archaeology continue to insist on this explanation despite the lack of evidence? According to the Orion correlation theory, the pyramid's arrangement mirrors the alignment of Orion's belt as it appeared in the night sky around 10,500 BCE, suggesting a far older origin for these monuments. This theory implies a highly advanced understanding of astronomy by an ancient civilization predating mainstream timelines. Further solidifying this theory is the Great Sphinx. With its lion body, it faces due east, directly toward the rising sun on the spring equinox. In 1991, geologist Dr. Robert Schoch presented evidence that the Great Sphinx shows signs of significant water erosion, indicating it dates back to a period of heavy rainfall. This period aligns with the end of the last ice age, around 9,700 BCE, challenging the traditional timeline. Dr. Schoch's findings suggest that the Sphinx may have been built during or before the Age of Leo, lending further support to the idea that these monuments are far older than mainstream archaeology suggests. If true, this would align the Sphinx's construction with a time of significant climatic and astronomical changes. Around 10,500 BCE, the constellation Leo would have risen on the horizon in precise alignment with the Sphinx at sunrise during the equinox. This ties its construction to a time when the constellation was prominent in the sky, suggesting the Sphinx may have been built in honor of this celestial alignment. During this time, Orion was at its lowest point in the sky, while Leo was rising. This celestial balance between Leo on the horizon and Orion in the sky is seen as a cosmic reflection of the terrestrial monuments. As above, so below. In 2007, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis was proposed by scientists Richard Firestone and Alan West. It suggests that a cosmic impact event around 12,800 years ago triggered a sudden and dramatic climate shift, what we now call the Younger Dryas. This global catastrophe, marked by massive floods and the extinction of countless species, has led many to speculate that it also coincided with the collapse of an advanced civilization. I first learned about the Younger Dryas at a seminar I attended in New York City around 2015, where Graham Hancock was discussing his book, Magicians of the Gods. When Graham mentioned the proposed date of impact, I nearly fell over, because that exact time frame aligned perfectly with a reading given decades earlier by the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce. At the time, I had only just started learning about Cayce, but hearing Graham confirm this date sent my brain into overdrive. Could Cayce's readings have been tapping into a lost historical truth? Now, before I go any further, I know that when some people hear the word psychic, their first instinct is to dismiss it as nonsense. But let me tell you, when I first discovered Edgar Cayce, my mind was blown. His readings weren't just vague predictions, they were detailed, specific, and in many cases, eerily accurate. I became borderline obsessed, devouring everything I could find about him. Eventually, I even joined the ARE, Association for Research and Enlightenment, to gain access to the 14,000 readings they have on file. If you've never heard of him, I highly recommend looking into his work. His insights into history, health, and spirituality are fascinating, and many align with modern discoveries. I might even consider doing a full video on him in the future. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. So, in a reading from 1932, Cayce claimed that the Great Pyramid was constructed over a span of 100 years between 10,490 and 10,390 BCE, during the reign of a figure he called Ararart. According to Cayce, the pyramid was built not as a tomb, but as a repository of knowledge, designed with the help of Atlantean refugees who brought their advanced understanding to Egypt. He also claimed that Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, known as Hermes Trismegistus to the Greeks, played a key role in its construction, preserving sacred knowledge for future generations. When I first came across the name Ararart, something about it struck me as oddly familiar. It immediately reminded me of Mount Ararat, the legendary resting place of Noah's Ark. Perhaps this connection is more than just coincidence. Both the Great Pyramid and Noah's Ark are symbols of preservation, one safeguarding knowledge, the other life itself. Could the name Ararat hold a deeper symbolic link between these ancient flood narratives? It's worth considering since so many ancient cultures share such eerily similar flood myths. If the Younger Dryas really did wipe out an advanced civilization, is it possible that these stories are fragmented memories of that catastrophe? And if Casey was right about the timing, what else was he right about? One of Casey's most fascinating predictions was that an ancient hall of records lies hidden beneath the right paw of the Sphinx. According to him, this chamber contains a preserved history of human civilization, detailing everything from the rise and fall of Atlantis, their influence on Egypt, and knowledge that was meant to be preserved and passed down to future generations. Even more intriguing, he claimed that this hall of records would be discovered in either the 20th or 21st century. And guess what? Modern scans of the Sphinx have recently revealed anomalies beneath it. But wouldn't you know, Egyptian authorities have resisted further excavation. Why? What might be buried beneath this monument that challenges our accepted timeline of history? As we've seen, the Younger Dryas wasn't just a catastrophic event. It may have marked the downfall of an advanced civilization, one whose remnants may still be hidden beneath the sands of Egypt. If ancient knowledge was indeed lost in this cataclysmic reset, could it be that these ancient stories were more than just symbolic myths? Could they be preserving fragments of a lost history encoded in allegory and celestial alignments? To uncover this, we need to look deeper into one of the most famous tales of all time, the myth of Osiris and Isis. In the first millennium BCE, Osiris and Isis were two of the most widely worshipped deities in Egypt. Their influence extended far beyond religious rituals. They were central to Egyptian cosmology, kingship, and the afterlife. Osiris was more than just a god. He was the first divine king, a civilizer who brought agriculture, laws, and wisdom to humanity. He represented order, resurrection, and the eternal cycle of life and death. Isis, his sister and later his wife, was one of the most powerful deities in the Egyptian pantheon. She was the goddess of magic, healing, wisdom, and protection, a divine mother figure whose knowledge of sacred rituals allowed her to manipulate reality itself. Her cult grew so influential that her worship spread beyond Egypt, reaching Greece, Rome, and even distant lands. Their brother Set was the god of chaos, storms, and war. Unlike Osiris, who symbolized harmony and prosperity, Set represented disorder and destruction, yet he was not always seen as entirely evil. In earlier myths, he was a protector of Ra, the sun god, helping him battle the forces of darkness. However, his later role in the betrayal and murder of Osiris transformed him into the archetypal villain. These three deities were part of the Ennead, a group of 9 gods worshipped at Heliopolis, one of the most important religious centers in ancient Egypt. Their family lineage traced back to Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the heavens, reinforcing their divine connection to the natural and cosmic order. For the Egyptians, Osiris was not just a ruler. He was the embodiment of divine kingship itself. Under his reign, Egypt thrived in an age of harmony, abundance, and sacred wisdom. But where there is light, there is always a shadow. Set, the god of chaos and storms, grew resentful of his brother's power and the devotion he received from the people. Consumed by jealousy and ambition, Set devised a ruthless plan to overthrow Osiris and seize the throne of Egypt for himself. One evening, Set invited Osiris to a grand banquet, presenting a beautifully crafted golden chest, perfectly fitted to Osiris's body. Intrigued, Osiris stepped inside, but the moment he did, Set and his followers slammed the lid shut and sealed it with molten lead. With Osiris trapped, Set cast the chest into the Nile, allowing the river's currents to carry his brother away, ensuring that his rule would come to an end. But Set was not done. He feared that Osiris might return, so he hunted down the chest, retrieved Osiris's body, and dismembered him into 14 pieces, scattering them across Egypt. With Osiris gone, Set declared himself the new ruler, plunging Egypt into an age of turmoil and imbalance. The divine order that Osiris had established was shattered. But this was not the end, for Isis would not allow his legacy to fade. Though Osiris had fallen, she refused to accept his fate. Heartbroken yet determined, she embarked on a sacred journey across Egypt, searching for the scattered pieces of her husband's body. With the help of Nephthys, her twin sister, and Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification, Isis recovered each fragment of Osiris, piecing him back together. Yet despite her powerful magic, Osiris remained incomplete. A vital piece of him, the symbol of his ability to create life, was lost forever. Realizing she could not restore him alone, Isis turned to Thoth, the god of wisdom, sacred knowledge, and divine magic. Thoth was no ordinary deity. He was the scribe of the gods, the keeper of hidden knowledge, the one who understood the mysteries of creation itself. Through his guidance, Isis performed an ancient ritual, one so powerful that it defied the very laws of existence. With sacred words and celestial magic, Osiris was brought back to life, but only for a brief moment, long enough for Isis to conceive a son, Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship and war. Though Osiris could not return to rule the living, his resurrection was not in vain. Instead, he was transformed into the king of the underworld, ruling over Duat, the Egyptian afterlife, where he would judge the souls of the dead and maintain cosmic order. Meanwhile, Horus grew in strength, destined to one day face Set and reclaim his father's throne. Though Osiris had ascended to the underworld, his presence was never truly gone, for the Egyptians believed that his soul now lived on in the heavens. To them, Orion was the celestial embodiment of Osiris, a divine gateway where the souls of kings ascended after death. This constellation stood as a beacon in the night sky, forever watching over Egypt, just as Osiris watched over the afterlife. The pyramid texts, some of the oldest religious writings in history, explicitly state,
"The king is a star which shines in the sky. He takes his seat among the gods of the sky. O king, you are this great star, the companion of Orion, who traverses the sky with Osiris."
This belief was more than symbolic. It was embedded in the very foundations of Egypt's most enduring monuments. The three pyramids of Giza, meticulously aligned with Orion's belt, were constructed to serve as celestial stairways, guiding the pharaohs toward their divine destiny among the stars. But Osiris was not alone in the heavens. Just as Orion was linked to Osiris, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, was associated with Isis. Every year, when Sirius, also known as Sopdet, rose in the pre-dawn sky, it signaled the flooding of the Nile, bringing renewal, fertility, and life to the land. This event was so crucial that the Egyptian calendar itself was based on it. To the ancient Egyptians, Isis's connection to Sirius symbolized rebirth, divine order, and cosmic wisdom, just as her myth told the story of reviving Osiris and bringing knowledge to Egypt. Meanwhile, Horus, the Avenger, the son of the resurrected god, was embodied by the rising sun, reclaiming his place as the rightful king of Egypt. Horus, often depicted as a falcon-headed god, was closely linked to the sun, particularly as Ra-Horakti, Horus of the two horizons. He represented the eternal cycle of renewal, the balance of light and darkness, and the triumph of order over chaos. Just as the sun vanquishes the night each morning, Horus was destined to defeat Set and restore balance to the land. This divine cycle, Osiris as Orion, Isis as Sirius, and Horus as the rising sun, it was more than mythology. It was a reflection of a cosmic pattern, a celestial map that guided the ancient world. Throughout Egypt, the legacy of Osiris and Isis is woven into the fabric of their civilization. The pyramids, the Sphinx, the ancient texts, all tell a story of resurrection, renewal, and knowledge that transcends time itself. To the ancient Egyptians, Orion was more than just a constellation. It was the gateway to the afterlife, the celestial home where the souls of pharaohs ascended to join Osiris among the stars. And Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, the divine light of Isis, marking the annual flooding of the Nile, bringing life, renewal, and rebirth to the land of Egypt. But what if these myths weren't just stories? What if they're fragments of a greater truth, preserved through time in symbols, alignments, and rituals? We now know that the Orion Nebula is a stellar nursery, the literal birthplace of stars. Kind of mind-blowing if you recall the famous quote by astrophysicist Carl Sagan, who said, "We are made of star stuff." So why did the ancient Egyptians choose Orion as the celestial embodiment of Osiris, the god of life, death, and rebirth? especially when considering how modern science only recently confirmed that this is the region where stars are born. Again, it leads me to ask, was this knowledge passed down from a lost civilization, one that understood the cosmic cycles of creation and destruction? What if the myths, monuments, and the stars themselves were encoding a lost knowledge? One that connects not just Egypt, but ancient civilizations across the world. Because Egypt is not the only place where Orion's presence is etched into the landscape. All across the world, ancient cultures seem to have an inexplicable fascination with this constellation, aligning their most sacred sites to mirror its celestial form. I originally wrote this over 10 years ago, intending to highlight a handful of civilizations known to align their sacred sites with Orion's belt. But as I revisited my research, I realized that since then, many more have been discovered. So many, in fact, that I decided to cut that part entirely and save it for another video. But that's not even the most surprising part. While researching, I stumbled upon a documentary about a discovery made just a few years ago, one that nobody seems to be talking about. It's pretty well known that there are no hieroglyphics inside the Great Pyramid, unlike most other ancient Egyptian structures which seem to be covered with them. Yet, a few years ago, a man named Robert Edward Grant discovered something extraordinary etched into the rim of the sarcophagus in the king's chamber. The symbol, Alpha and Omega. This is actual footage captured by Robert Edward Grant inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. Here, he discovered what appears to be an Alpha and Omega symbol etched onto the sarcophagus, an ancient mark that may hold profound significance. I found this kind of odd because those symbols belong to the Greek alphabet. Alpha, the beginning, and Omega, the end. What are Greek symbols doing inside the Great Pyramid? Egypt predates Greek civilization by thousands of years, so what was the significance? Some of you might be familiar with the phrase from the Book of Revelation, where Jesus states, at least 3 times, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." I found that intriguing, but I didn't quite see the connection yet. What does this mean? Why was this particular inscription placed inside the king's chamber, the most sacred space in the Great Pyramid? And what does it have to do with Christianity, a concept that wouldn't emerge until thousands of years later? Well, if we consider that Alpha and Omega represent the beginning and the end, it suggests cycles. Everything in nature is cyclical, including the Earth itself. I've always known this instinctively. Even as a child, I remember debating my 5th grade teacher about Darwin's theory of evolution. I never believed we evolved in a purely linear fashion. Instead, I believe humanity has gone through cycles of evolving and devolving, possibly resetting after cataclysmic events, much like the ones described in ancient texts across the world. It's the same reason I never bought into the global warming narrative, because I believe we're just observing repeating cycles that have occurred for millennia. The ancients obsessively followed these celestial patterns, incorporating them into their mythology, architecture, and religious texts. Even the birth of Jesus was prophesied in the stars. If the ancients encoded messages into their monuments, could they have left us a timeline? And since these symbols were placed inside a structure aligned with Orion, could they possibly be referencing the cosmic cycles of birth, death, and resurrection? Just like the myth of Osiris? And then it hit me. Jesus, birth, death, resurrection, the parallels became undeniable. So I dug even deeper and came across a post that stated, on April 5th, 2026, the constellation Leo will rise in the east before the Sphinx. Curious, I wanted to know how often this happens and if there was truly any significance. At first I was disappointed to learn that Leo rises in the east every year, just like all constellations, due to Earth's natural cycles. However, this particular date just happens to fall on Easter Sunday. And that's the day of Christ's resurrection. Wow! Now that's pretty significant. Just think about it. A day symbolizing the return of something lost, something hidden. And on that very day, Leo's brightest star, Regulus, the ruby star, the heart of the lion, also known as the Little King, will rise once again before the great Sphinx, the guardian of forgotten wisdom. Is this just a coincidence? Or are we standing on the edge of something profound? A cycle coming full circle? An ancient prophecy unfolding in real time? For the past decade, we've heard talk of the Age of Aquarius and how it's supposed to usher in this era of enlightenment, balance, and the uncovering of lost truths. So what of the Hall of Records, the legendary chamber beneath the Sphinx's right paw? If Edgar Cayce's visions were correct, it contains the lost wisdom of Atlantis, hidden beneath the sands, waiting for the day humanity is ready to rediscover its past. Could that time be now? As of today, those answers remain buried. But if history has taught us anything, it's that the past has a way of revealing itself when the time is right. Perhaps the true story of our origins wasn't just written in stone, but in the stars themselves.